Imagine climbing into a freezing metal fortress, knowing that in just a few hours, half the men around you will never return. Every mission is a gamble with death, a trip through hell at 25,000 feet. This was life inside the B-17 flying fortress, the legendary American bomber that struck fear into the enemy and terror into the hearts of its own crew. The B-17 was more than just a plane. It was America's answer to Hitler's war machine, a massive four-engine beast armed to the teeth with 13 .50 caliber machine guns. To the enemy, it was indestructible, a fortress of the skies. But inside, it was a coffin of ice, fire, and steel. And for the 10 young men who flew in it, every mission was a one-way ticket into chaos. At 25,000 feet, the air was so thin that your lungs screamed for oxygen. Temperatures dropped to -60 degrees Fahrenheit. Your breath froze inside your mask, your hands stuck to the guns, and the blood from a wound could freeze before it hit the floor. There was no pressurization, no comfort. Just roaring engines, bitter cold, and the constant rattle of flak exploding outside your window. If your electric suit failed, and many did, you could freeze to death mid-flight, slumped in silence while your friends kept firing. Hundreds of bombers would take off in perfect sequence, one every 30 seconds. They'd climb, form up, and lock into a formation so tight you could almost touch the next plane's wingtip. Why? Because the closer they flew, the safer they were. Their overlapping guns created a wall of lead against attacking German fighters, but it also meant one mistake could wipe out an entire squadron. Thousands died in training alone before ever seeing enemy skies. Then came the real terror, German flak. The infamous 88mm cannons could throw shells high into the sky, right into the B-17's path. Each shell exploded with shrapnel that shredded metal, engines, and men. Veterans described it as flying through black clouds filled with knives. You'd watch the sky light up with bursts, one hit, and a bomber would vanish in a flash of fire and falling debris. If the fuel or bombs ignited, there were no survivors, only burning trails disappearing into the clouds. And through it all, you had to stay calm, steady your hands, keep your formation, drop your bombs on target. Once past the flak, the Luftwaffe was waiting. Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Focke-Wulf 190s screamed in from the front, guns blazing. Their 20mm cannons tore through aluminum skin like paper. Early in the war, the bombers had no long-range escort. You were alone, 500 miles deep over enemy territory. And when the German fighters came, you could see their faces. They aimed right for your cockpit, your engines, or the helpless men in the glass ball beneath your plane. Many crews called it the longest 20 minutes of your life. The ball turret gunner was locked alone in a tiny sphere beneath the belly of the bomber, knees at his chest, guns in hand, no room for a parachute. If hydraulics failed, he couldn't escape. If the plane crash-landed, he was crushed instantly. Many said it was the loneliest, most terrifying position in the entire Air Force. And yet, they climbed in every single time. The crew of a B-17 wasn't just a team, they were brothers. They laughed together before takeoff and sometimes screamed each other's names as flames consumed the cabin. The tail gunner praying, the pilot holding the controls of a dying aircraft, the navigator bleeding out over his maps. Still, they stayed, trying to bring their fortress home, even if it meant going down with her. Of the 300,000 Americans who flew in B-17s, more than 26,000 never returned.